Happy Law Day, Asheville. I thank you so much for coming to celebrate this. So it's interesting, I don't know how many of you knew about Law Day before today's event. It's actually been celebrated in America since President Dwight D. Eisenhower initiated it in 1958. Just to give you an idea for some of the younger folks, I was 2 months old when Dwight Eisenhower first gave his speech. So it goes back a long way, but despite that, I got to confess, I wasn't really that aware of that event. And presidents put out proclamations every May 1st just to this effect. So what I wonder what happened is, have we become complacent in the rule of law? It sort of reminds me of how complacent I felt about the safety of living in Asheville and climate change. That just got kind of blown out of the water, literally, with Hurricane Helene. And I think this new kind of storm that's brewing right now, which are attacks on due process as a fundamental principle of virtually any law that we're doing. And I won't ask you to take my word for that. One of the most conservative judges on one of the most conservative courts, circuit courts of appeal in the federal circuit, a man by the name of Harvey Weinstein, Wilkinson. Wow, yeah. By the way, I want to apologize. I'm sick as a dog right now with a chest cold. If I faint or anything, that's what's going on. But Judge Wilkinson of the Fourth Circuit just said the following in an opinion. The government is asserting a right to stash away residents of this country in foreign prisons without the semblance of due process. That is the foundation of our constitutional order. This, he says, should be shocking not only to judges, but to intuitive sense of liberty of Americans far removed from the courthouse still holds dear. I'm just curious, are there any non-lawyers out here that feel an intuitive sense of threat to our due process? Thank you, and thank you so much for coming out in support of lawyers today. So yeah, I personally find it shocking indeed. And like Hurricane Helene, we can't be complacent about this any longer. That's why we're here today in fellowship and in faithfulness to the rule of law. We are standing up. This is the start of what I think is going to be a continual process. So I'd like to take this moment to introduce my I'm the co-organizer of this event. My co-organizer is Nikki Foster, and she'd like to tell you a little bit more how this event is fitting into the fabric of events all over the country today.
Thank you so much, PJ. Thank you for working so hard to organize this, even when you've been sick all week. Really wonderful. And I just really honestly want to thank every single person who came out today. And the reason why is because, I don't know about y'all, but I am pretty frightened. I am frightened, I am scared, I am traumatized. Every day we wake up and we see another horror, but the rule of law just being attacked isn't the right word. It's a full-on frontal assault. And I think we understand that there's an intent to cause this sort of trauma to people. And I think as lawyers, we understand and feel this trauma even greater than most of the members of the general public, because we spent our entire careers, we went to law school, we took this oath back in the day when we were sworn in. And I don't know about y'all, but I never thought we would see anything remotely resembling the attacks on the rule of law. So I think we have to acknowledge, what I wanted to present was that this is traumatic. This is traumatic to lawyers, this is traumatic to the general public, and we have to take a moment and realize that we are safe right here. We are safe in Asheville, we are safe in this park, we are safe with our Asheville Police Department and our wonderful local county law enforcement. We live in a bubble, I think we do. So And we are safe because we are here together. We are connected. And that was the motivation for planning this event, because we are standing here, and really, this is a remarkable crowd. Give yourselves a hand for everybody coming out today. This is a really wonderful crowd. We frankly did not know how many people would come out because everyone is so scared. And lawyers did tell me they were not going to come out because they were scared. But this is part of a national action, National Law Day of Action, that is being organized by a group called Lawyers for Good Government, L4GG. And that's a DC-based nonprofit that coordinates over 125,000 lawyers in every state in the country. And they have a wonderful Facebook group that's a discussion group, and that's how I found them. And they started organizing this. We jumped on a Zoom call. They had a national call for action to defend the rule of law. Jumped on a Zoom call, and guess who was there? PJ. So we naturally started planning this for everyone. So I just want to tell y'all, we were the first city in North Carolina to sign on, and Durham signed on with us. And I was wondering where Atlanta was during all this. Atlanta's there, and Charlottesville, Virginia. But those are the closest cities in the southeast to us. But there are events going on right now, from 12 to 1. The folks from Lawyers for Good Government are on the steps of the Supreme Court right now, doing the same thing that we are. They're having rallies, and there's a live stream, and there'll be plenty of videos. They're going to be live streaming in all the time zones and putting together a compilation. So when we get done with our event, and we're going to provide video to them, so we will be part of it as well, we'll publish out those links and continue on from here. This is just the beginning. But there's rallies in New York City. I'm just going to name some of them so you can get an idea. New York City, San Francisco, Sacramento, Los Angeles, Oakland, San Diego, Santa Clara, basically the entire state of Washington, because their state bar signed on, state of Minnesota state bar, state of Maine, and state of Connecticut, Tampa Bay, Miami, Denver, Colorado, Boulder, Durango, Fort Worth, New Orleans, Houston, Texas, Austin, Texas, Dallas, Philadelphia, Carlisle, Pennsylvania, Baltimore, Detroit, Salt Lake City, Dayton, Cleveland, Ohio, Atlanta, Boston, Tucson, Phoenix, Chicago, Portland, Trenton, New York, Newark, Durham, and Asheville. So I just want to thank y'all for being part of this. It means a lot. And another core principle of this event is that it's nonpartisan. And it really is nonpartisan, because this goes beyond the politics of the left or right. This is about the rule of law. And as lawyers, we are officers of the court. We are part of the judicial branch. So I believe we have an obligation, independent of our politics, independent of left or right, Democrat, Republican, to stand up as part of the judicial branch and fight for the independence of the judiciary. The attacks on the judiciary cannot stand. We know that. We know that an independent judiciary keeps this country safe and protects all of us. So I just want to close by saying that in that regard, Lisa Murkowski, Republican from Alaska, she recently said a couple weeks ago, we are all afraid. And I'm oftentimes very anxious myself about using my voice because retaliation is real. But if we stand here together, and we stand with those thousands of lawyers that are out there in other cities today, they can't retaliate against us one by one. And we are strong. So we are unified, and we will continue to stand to support the rule of law. Thank you again for coming.
So on that subject, we have 3 featured speakers today. And this is by design a short program, but each speaker is going to speak for up to 10 minutes. And I've asked them to come and do that in areas that they are familiar with. The first of whom is Todd Levin. Todd is a partner with his wife Jessica in the Jessica Law Firm, the Levin Law Firm, and he is an adjunct. He's also an adjunct professor of law at UNC Chapel Hill, where he focuses on veteran benefits. Todd also started a free legal services clinic for the homeless veterans that are out there. It's at the subject near and dear to his heart because he himself is a military veteran serving in the United States Army for 6 years. I've asked him to come out and share a veteran's perspective on the threats to the rule of law.
Thank you very much. I am honored to be here, and I'm honored to share the stage with two amazing attorneys and judges as well. So I'm just going to jump straight into it. Can you all hear me? Okay, good. Law Day, defending the rule of law. If you only have 2 takeaways from what I say, this is what I want it to be. 1, the stakes are so high right now, it doesn't matter if you win the game. We're lawyers. We all want to win, sometimes no matter what the cost. It doesn't matter if you win the game. It matters if all the players of the game unite to make sure that the rules of the game stay in place. That's the rules of the law. So it doesn't matter if your political party, if your tribe, if the cohabitants of your echo chamber win. It matters if the rule of law stays in place. Takeaway number 1. Takeaway number 2. No one is going to come down and take away the rule of law. Okay, not the president, not Congress, not the Supreme Court. No one, if the rule of law goes away, that's not us. It's because we, as a society, we as attorneys have willingly abandoned the rule of law. So takeaway 2, no one's going to take it away from us. We're not victims. We have agency in this. If the rule of law goes away, it's our fault. Most of us grasp the importance of the U.S. Constitution and the rule of law when we were in law school, of course. Some maybe in undergrad, some in high school. I think my wife, she's partner of the Just the Law firm, and then she decided, I'll wait for a second. She decided she wanted to be a plaintiff's attorney when she was 8 years old. That's a little weird. Me, it came a little bit later when I was in the United States Army, forwardly deployed as a combat 50 caliber machine gunner. Sure, we all raised our hands to defend the U.S. Constitution because that's what we do in the U.S. military, but then we went abroad and there's the Geneva Conventions that mattered. And I'll tell you what, comparing my stories, my war stories with my good friend who's been on the APE for 25 years, when he talks about being on the SWAT team, him policing U.S. citizens, night and day than the U.S. policing enemy combatants abroad. You want the protection of the U.S. Constitution. You absolutely want it. So how do you defend the Constitution? After I got out of the Army, I went to UNCA right down the road, back when they had a humanities department. The first time I read A Man for All Seasons. Oh, who here has read A Man for All Seasons or seen the movie? It's amazing. Sir Thomas More, it's written by Robert Boltz, who also wrote the screenplay for it. Great show. It's about Sir Thomas More, a lawyer and Lord High Chancellor of England under King Henry VIII. At the time, King Henry VIII, he wanted an annulment from Catherine of Aragon to add spiritual legitimacy to the queenship of Anne Boleyn. He and the king were on a divergent path. Everyone knew that eventually Sir Thomas More was going to go to trial, and Rich was going to perjure himself, testify against More, and lead to More's execution, and that's exactly what happened. So William Roper, More's future son-in-law, came to him and said, hey, you're the Lord High Chancellor. He said a little bit better than this. You're the Lord High Chancellor. You need to arrest him. And More said, no. That's exactly what he said. And go he should if he were the devil himself until he broke the law. Roper is appalled at the idea of granting the very devil himself the rule of law, the benefit of the rule of law. But More was adamant. And he said, what would you do? Cut a great road through the law to get after the devil? And when the last law was down and the devil turned around on you, where would you hide? Roper, the law is all being slashed. This country is planted thick with laws from coast to coast. Man's laws, not God's laws. And if you cut them down, and you're just the man to do it, do you really think you could stand upright in the winds that would blow then? Yes, I give the devil the benefit of the law, for my own safety's sake. Giving the devil the benefit of the law. What does this mean? It means, and this is really important, it is good to defend the Constitution when your party or when your tribe wins. It is better and it is more important to defend the Constitution when your party, your political party, your tribe, whoever, when it hurts them. Okay? The rule of law matters more than winning. The rule of law matters more than winning. Two great examples going to be very popular. Supreme Court jurisprudence on the Second Amendment and the penumbral rights. Listen to me, this is really important. Do not take this out of context. If you defend the legitimacy of Griswold, Loving, and Obergefell, you have to defend the legitimacy of Heller and Dobbs. Oh, God, that's crazy. I know it is. But you can disagree with the court's interpretation. You cannot disagree with the court's legitimacy. You can disagree with the president's interpretation. You can disagree with Congress' interpretation. You cannot disagree with their legitimacy. I want to mention this because an official legal analysis of what Dobbs got wrong by a leading organization that probably 90% of us here support, I highly support. We all give money to. It's a great organization. In their language to describe the official legal analysis of what Dobbs got wrong, I don't agree with the interpretation of Dobbs, but what they said is not just the decision, but the justices themselves giving the decision, and even the court itself, was radical, dangerous, and unprincipled. That's divisive. I'm telling you, the quickest way to abandon the rule of law, you sow division, and when your party or your tribe loses, you attack the opponent personally, or you undermine the legitimacy of the system. We need to realize, as adults, when we're with our echo chamber, and we all have them, when we're with our echo chamber, people listen. We are leaders. People look up to us. We're supposed to be the subject matter experts when it comes to the rule of law. You need to be the adult in the room, and even when you disagree, you need to agree that the rule of law matters more than winning. Okay, so again, two takeaways. It doesn't matter if you win the game. It matters if you continue the game having rule. And two, if the rule of law goes away, that's on us. You can't blame someone in D.C. You can't blame someone in Raleigh. It is on us. That's it. Thank you very much.
Our next featured speaker is Jackie Kiger, who is the Executive Director of the Physio Legal Services. Before I go farther, let me just give a shout out to Physio Legal Services, which has been this incredible angel in our community for 50 years. It is no surprise to me that of everyone involved in preparing this event today, 3 folks at a minimum showed up here that have a connection to Physio Legal Services. So God bless them. Jackie began her legal career after graduating from the John Marshall Law School, and she joined PISCA in 2010, where she served as any number of roles prior to becoming the executive director in 2024. She was the chief operations officer for a number of years before that. She also holds a master's degree in social work from the UNC Chapel Hill. And with a background in both the law and social work, Jackie is a committed advocate for the basic rights and dignity of all people. I've asked her to make a few remarks about the due process around migration.
All right, can y'all hear me? Okay. All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out here today. Thank you to PJ for the invitation to speak on behalf of the population that is very impacted by both the rule of law and due process rights, and that is our immigrant community. This opportunity to speak with you all about the rule of law is important not just for our community here, as we have been talking about, but indeed our country, and protecting the rights of those who are our most vulnerable community members. As Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So I am truly honored to stand before you here today as the executive director at PISA Legal. PISA Legal is a nonprofit legal aid organization committed to justice and the rule of law. Our mission is to provide justice by providing free civil legal assistance and advocacy to help low-income people meet their most basic needs. And when we say basic needs, we're talking about core needs: safe housing, safety from abuse in the home, protecting essential income, and access to affordable health care coverage. We envision at PISA Legal a community without poverty. We envision a community where access to justice is for everyone, regardless of your income, your race, your gender, your sexual orientation, or your immigrant status. We also envision a community where the rule of law is respected and upheld. We've been advocating for the rights of our clients, as PJ said, for nearly 50 years. And so I stand here today on behalf of all of the people that came before me at PISA Legal Services, our staff who are out here, our volunteers. I stand here today on behalf of our clients who use and seek our services and those who are looking for our services right now. We cannot keep up with the demand for services from our clients, particularly in the area of immigration. Our organization was started right here in Duncan County by local Duncan County attorneys, and I'm standing right in front of the courthouse where we had our very first office. And now we exist to protect the rights and to stand up for justice for the marginalized, the vulnerable, and those who need us the most. So as Todd was just saying, the rule of law is the absolute bedrock of our democracy. And it is what really separates us from lawlessness and chaos. It is what ensures that each one of us has access to justice, that is our right. But currently, and current events are showing that this is under threat. And I'm grateful that we're all here today to reaffirm our oath to the Constitution, both of the United States and here in North Carolina. Now, in my unique perspective, this is absolutely important as we think about our neighbors who are immigrants. PISA Legal provides free legal aid services to most of the people who are living in our community and are immigrants. Yet, we only have 3 attorneys who are working on behalf of the immigrant community across 18 counties here in western North Carolina. And now is the most critical, most difficult time for immigrants in the United States and right here in western North Carolina. Our immigrant clients, their families, their children, and those who are close to them and care for them are terrified. And that is because the rule of law, what Todd was just talking about, the understanding we may not agree, but we adhere to it, is not being upheld. And due process rights are not always being provided to those who need them, and people are suffering. Our profession as attorneys, but importantly, immigration attorneys, are also being threatened for the very law that they practice and the ethical services that they provide. We have seen long-standing policies that have been relied on for years and decades about safe spaces, schools, safe communities, medical providers, harshly and arbitrarily overturned. And despite judges' orders to the contrary, immigrants are being detained and deported, often without due process under the law. Families are being separated, and at PISA Legal, we are responding by providing emergency preparedness services to people who are looking just to make sure that their affairs are in order, if they are separated quickly and unable to have access to an attorney or due process under the law. So without the rule of law, there is no guarantee of justice. And that's why it's so important that we as attorneys, our ethical obligations call on us to stand up and to speak out. We heard it earlier. This is the oath that we took as officers of the court, to speak out and to stand up. I am struck by how the very rules that guide our profession, fairness, due process, the fundamental pieces of our system, justice, equality, are under threat. So I have hope, though, because we are here today to reaffirm our oath and to stand up for justice. And the rule of law indeed has to be protected and upheld, and today we will again make that commitment together. As attorneys, it is our responsibility, it is our ethical obligation to zealously advocate for our clients' rights. And we do that at Coastal Legal Services. That's what we were built to do. And we are part of this community and stand right alongside with you, filling in that gap between our client needs and injustice. We stand for justice for all, and I hope all of you will stand with us. And thank you so much for being here today.
Well, our last featured speaker today is our most special guest because she needs to administer the oath to the assembled lawyers here today. But before she undertakes that effort, I've asked her to speak to you all about judicial independence. And I've been referring to the Honorable Robin Merrill, who's the district judge here in Buncombe County. Judge Merrill is a native of Western North Carolina and studied at Wake Forest and the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill for law school. Having spent 24 years with his legal services, she was elevated to the bench by election in 2024. So I'm going to ask her to speak a little bit about the importance of judicial independence, and then ask her to administer the oath to lawyers willing to renew their vows for that.
Thank you, PJ. I was honored to be asked to speak today, but I'm going to admit that I also was a little nervous. Y'all have heard about the judge arrested last week in Wisconsin, and that's a very frightening occurrence. I'm going to tell you that for as long as I've known anything about the creation of this country, I've been pretty amazed at our founding fathers. Because almost 250 years ago, they set out to form a government unlike any that had ever existed in the world before. And I think that as they were doing that, they knew more what they didn't want than what they did want. They knew they didn't want a monarchy, a person set up by God who had carte blanche to do whatever they wanted. They knew they didn't want that type of authoritarian government. So how they figured out a government where that wasn't happening was creating the three branches of government. And for there to be checks and balances that each branch would provide against the other two. But it turns out that the ideal for the judicial branch was even stronger than we know. James Madison, during the Constitutional Convention, said that independent tribunals of justice will consider themselves in a peculiar manner the guardian of the rights. They will be an impenetrable bulwark against every assumption of power in the legislative or executive branches. They will be naturally led to resist every encroachment upon rights expressly stipulated for in the Constitution by the Declaration of Rights. Wow, that's pretty cool, and a very big responsibility. The reality, though, is that judges are imperfect humans, and I'm an imperfect human. I see this as an ideal to strive for. But what I also see in my day-to-day, in the 4 months now, that I've been the courthouse behind us making decisions, is I actually see all these rights coming to bear. Just this morning, I weighed the person's right to liberty versus our need for public safety. And I had to make a decision. I made a decision, and I did not consider this person's gender or race or economic status. I don't even know what their political affiliation is, but had I, it wasn't a part of the decision. As judges, we have to make our decisions based on the credible facts and the law, and cast aside all of those things about a person that makes them different than another person. But we also have to do that without regard to popular opinion, the ideology of the ruling party, or even the fact that in North Carolina we have to run for election. I had a trial on Monday in juvenile delinquency court, and there I have 3 entities. I have the prosecutor, I have the defense attorney, and I have the juvenile court counselor. And as I was determining a sentence for a juvenile who admitted to the things he'd been accused of, I disagreed with the court counselor on what that should be. And I get to make the decision. And it wasn't that what the court counselor wanted was bad or wrong, but as I rendered my decision, I saw that person's face turn stony, and I knew he didn't like it. And I work with that person twice a week, and will for probably at least the next year, if not longer. And I just had to push that aside, because my obligation is to the defendant standing in front of me, not to the desire of the court counselor. So that's what we as judges do every day. Am I living up to James Madison's ideal? I don't know, but I'm going to keep trying, because that is my job as a judge. I firmly believe in judicial independence for many reasons, but ultimately, without judicial independence, there's no justice. And I believe that without justice, then we are no longer the United States of America.
So, the fundamental purpose here today is to renew our oath as lawyers. A little bit about the oath. You know, we get through law school, and then we get through the bar exam, and then we come in and we stand in front of someone like Judge Merrill and pledge our allegiance basically to defend the constitutions of both the United States and North Carolina. The oath is, in fact, the cornerstone of the legal profession, because it represents the promise to support the Constitution, to defend the Constitution, and to oppose laws or actions that violate the Constitution. By retaking the oath, lawyers are reiterating this role, or their role in our system as guardians, to back judges like Judge Merrill, to join arms, basically, in any encroachments that we see against due process, among other violations of constitutional rights. So I would ask the lawyers ready to do that to come up on stage here, and Judge Merrill will administer the oath. And I have copies of the oath for review.
Good looking groove.
All right, are we ready? So I'm going to ask you all to raise your right hand. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, so help me God. I state your name. Do solemnly and sincerely swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the state of North Carolina. And to the constitutional powers and authorities which are or may be established for the government thereof. And that I will endeavor to support, maintain, and defend the Constitution of said state. Not inconsistent with the Constitution of the United States. To the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God. I state your name. Do swear that I will truly and honestly demean myself. In the practice of an attorney, according to the best of my knowledge and ability. So help me God.
Help me God.
You're now attorneys. Congratulations.
I just really wanted to thank everyone again for coming, and I think Jackie Tiger from Pittsburgh Legal missed an opportunity to tell everyone up here on the stage to join the pro bono team, and there's a power of attorney clinic to help out immigrants. I used to be the attorney head of that pro bono team, so we got a lot of legal power up here, so let's put it to work, y'all.
Well, that was just downright inspirational. I want to thank the audience that's not up here on the stage because it's so important to have community support for what we're doing. We can do what we can do in the courtroom. We can't always garner or inspire change elsewhere. When we leave today, we're recommitted. I will say, we have 1.3 million attorneys in the United States. Not all of them could make it here today. But, seriously, there are lawyers right now all over the country doing exactly what we're doing, recommitting ourselves and getting out of our complacency. So when looking for things to do, first and foremost, you get in touch with your Congress people and let them know you are not happy with the tax on the United States or North Carolina Constitution. For lawyers, I can look for opportunities to network. It is just pure dumb luck that Nikki Foster and I were on the same phone call with this group called Lawyers for Good Government. That was a call, by the way. There was 1,000 lawyers on it saying, what are we going to do in the face of these attacks? And this is the first step in that, but it's certainly not the last step. So I encourage lawyers to go out and find networking opportunities, national coordination to really, just as Nikki said earlier, this will turn up on social media and you'll get a feel for how many lawyers are feeling this way. And my guess is that we are the vanguard of that, and that the passions are rising in defense of due process and other constitutional rights. Lawyers particularly stand up when you see judges under attack. So that is our show for today. And again, thank you very kindly for coming out. I particularly appreciate my brothers and sisters here behind me who made an effort to show that we care. Thank you, and enjoy your day.